Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Xoxo, this is Xoxo Tarot, and in today's reading, we are going to be looking at what is the truth behind any situation you are looking for clarity on. Now, of course, because there are three groups, there will be three different situations, but essentially all we are going to be doing today is looking at what the truth behind a situation you need clarity on is, and we'll also be seeing based on that whether like your perception is clear. So we're only using three decks today. What I'm going to start with is the deck that you pick, and we're gonna look at what the situation being described here is. So if you resonate with the situation that you want clarity on, then you found the right reading. If the first part of the reading does not resonate, then I would try a different pile, and hopefully there will be one to give you answers. Then I'm going to shuffle a separate tarot deck to look at what the truth behind the situation is. And by doing that, we'll also be able to see maybe where your perception is at, if you're seeing things clearly, or maybe if there could be some illumination there. And then we'll just finish off with some guidance moving forward. So as you can tell, this is a bit different than my typical readings. I just feel like changing things up, and I'm also working on a really big boy right now, and I'm really excited about it, but it needs enough time and I need enough rest to be able to channel for that long. And I didn't want to just like hold off on posting anything until that was done. So I was, chilling in the bath tonight, and Spirit was talking to me about clarity. So I feel like for those of you who are looking for clarity, I hope that this video is helpful. And I hope it's okay that we're doing things a bit more simply. I really miss just like shuffling cards and just seeing what flows. So that's what we're gonna do today. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it. So we have three different piles to choose from today. Starting with the first group, we are going to be using the Synesthesia Tarot. And I have this Herkimer diamond on top. Then for the second group, we are going to be using the Lua Tarot, and I have this quartz shape with pyrite inside of it. And then finally for pile 3, we are going to be using the Wandering Moon Tarot, and I have this rainbow clear quartz on top. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It's absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one. You could resonate with every single reading here. You could resonate with only one. It's really up to you. Just take what resonates and don't let the rest take from you. But once you have picked your pile or piles, you can go ahead and scroll down to the description box or the comment section, where I will have all of the timestamps listed for this reading. And once you have picked your pile or piles, I will see you in your reading. Hi there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Herkimer diamond and the Synesthesia Tarot, then this is going to be your reading on the truth behind your situation. So I'm going to start by shuffling to see what your situation is. If you resonate with this, then this reading is for you, and if it doesn't, then I would try a different pile. But while I'm shuffling, just take the time to focus on the situation you're curious about, and just set the intention that the cards reflect it as accurately as possible to me. I also just want to give a big shout out to everyone who takes the time to leave me a little like, comment, or even a subscribe if you're feeling extra generous. Those are really easy ways of helping me and supporting me and showing appreciation. So thank you to everyone who does that. Also, thank you for being okay with the setup. I really am tired of having a giant bright light in my face, so we're experimenting with a little darker lighting. It is so much easier on my head and eyes. So anyway, Spirit, what situation does pile 1 need clarity on? What is pile 1's situation? Okay, we have the Two of Cups. Okay, that wanted to come out. Is that okay? All right, these are your cards. I know some of you are like, about to clench your butthole and freak out, but like with peace and love, I feel called to take them, so I'm going to take them. Take a deep breath and just trust. If the message is meant for you, it'll resonate. If it's not meant for you, it won't. Okay? Anyway, we have the Magician in reverse. We have the Two of Wands in reverse. We have Death in reverse. And we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, well, pile one. If you are watching this reading when it first comes out, you are going to want to pay attention to my next reading because it will likely be covering topics that you are interested in. But I definitely feel like what's going on here is related to a relationship. Imagine if I see that Two of Cups, I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely a career. It's a career reading. The vibe that I'm getting is that you definitely have some confusion over a romantic relationship with someone, or I'm hearing it's complicated. So like maybe it's a situationship type thing, someone that you have romantic feelings for that maybe you feel is reciprocated, or that maybe you thought was reciprocated, but you're unsure. It seems like with the Death card here, and the Two of Wands and the Magician in reverse, it seems like there's communication is not really happening right now. It seems like there hasn't been a shift or a change at all, and it seems like there's no future plans. It seems like everything is like up in the air, but also very stagnant. And even with this Two of Cups, it seems like there's like a separate line. Oh, I don't think I mentioned it's a union reading. It's gonna be so sick. I'm so excited for it. And it will be relevant to this. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to get distracted. Distraction could be an element of this, but with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, I do feel like there is this feeling of taking it harshly or taking it kind of personally, that this person isn't reciprocating, or that things aren't moving forward. I definitely think that there's just an energy here of like, well, I have these feelings and I know that they have these feelings too, or at the very least I thought they did. Why are things in this position? It definitely seems like communication isn't happening. I also think that you may be in this position where you're like catastrophizing things, or trying your hardest to look at things from a perspective that isn't catastrophizing. I definitely think with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse as well, I think that your perspective of the situation is that it's not your job to invest energy right now. It seems like you've done the energy investment, and it seems like you haven't been getting a return, even though at one point you were, or things were going kind of well, and now they're not. Or it just seems like you're in, I just see confusion here, confusion with where you both are at, and it seems like you're struggling to not take it personally, in the sense that like it might be hitting your self-esteem a little bit. It might be and you might be really fighting yourself, in the sense that maybe you typically have patterns of like overcompensating or chasing people, or accepting subpar treatment because you don't think that you could get better, or you didn't know you deserved better. I feel like you're trying to parent yourself through this and stay calm and rational, but I think that your anxious thoughts, your fearful thoughts are getting the best of you. And I think as more time passes, the more sure you are that something bad has happened, something wrong has happened, or things are just not going to work out. So in your mind, I'm not saying that. I don't know what the truth is. We got to look at what the truth is. So if that situation resonates for you, let's go ahead and see what the truth behind this situation is. I also feel like you don't have any future plans with this person, so you don't really know like what the future holds with them. I feel like also there's this fear around taking any action because you don't want to take the wrong action. So if you feel that way, then this reading's for you. So Spirit, what's the truth behind this situation for pile one? What is the truth of this situation? please. Okay, we have the Page of Swords, reflection and diligence. What's the truth behind the situation? We have the Queen of Swords, self-reliant and perceptive. Okay, we're gonna have to move these. What is the truth behind this situation, Spirit? Oh, okay, that one fell in my lap. We have the Tower, and it came out in reverse, so I feel like I want to leave it that way, especially because it came out in my lap. Okay. Okay, we have the World in reverse. And one more, Spirit, what's the truth of this situation? We have the Six of Pentacles. Okay, it's on the back of the deck. Back of the deck is the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so you're gonna be so mad at this answer, but it's actually the best answer you could get. You're not wrong in thinking that there's something off. There is. But the thing is that the thing that Spirit wants to highlight about this situation is that sometimes there isn't an answer to something until a decision is made. Not to bring twilight into things, but to bring twilight into things. You know, Alice, the vampire Alice, for example, she has the ability to only see in the future. The way that Stephanie Meyer wrote psychic abilities is like really interesting. She only has the ability to see in the future, right? And her visions change as people change their minds. And it seems like whatever is happening with this other person, there is something happening in their world that has kind of left them topsy-turvy. And they are in a position where they don't know where they are at. Now, if they've communicated that stuff to you, the unfortunate truth of the situation is that you may just have to continue to see things out and wait and see. The fact that we have the Six of Pentacles here, the truth of this person's intentions are either going to be expressed if you directly ask them, or if you wait for them to show you. Well, and I guess too, you might be wary of asking them because they may not have an answer, or you may feel like you're putting pressure on them that you don't want to put on them. The fact that we have the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords here, you definitely have two wolves within you. The first wolf is very petty. The first wolf is jumping to conclusions, taking things personally, assuming the worst. And the other wolf, the more refined wolf, recognizes that sometimes things are outside of our control. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes we don't get answers to things, and sometimes we can let our emotions get the best of us and make it more difficult to communicate. I feel like the truth behind this situation is still being written, and I also think that if you're looking for the truth of this person's feelings, you have to acknowledge the fact that the truth is that is irrelevant to the question. And that's why I said, like, you're probably not gonna like this answer, because I'm not letting you know how this person feels about you. And it's probably because, you know, this is a general reading, and there are many, like, you know, your situations may be different, and how your person feels may be different than someone else watching this reading. And maybe you should go check out a feelings reading, because that will be directed towards that, and I have plenty of those you can check out. But I do feel like what you're being encouraged to acknowledge and look at is what you can control in this situation. Because it definitely seems like whoever you're asking about is beholden to some sort of commitment or some sort of like circumstance that they have to see through before they can give more of themselves. And in your case, I think that it would be really beneficial for you to communicate with them when you're in a state of being that's not drained or feeling insecure. I feel like before you have a conversation with this person, it would be really helpful for you to just do something that makes you feel good about yourself, do some like self-care and something that's emotionally reassuring, because I think that you could take things the wrong way that are not meant to be taken personally if you talk with this person when you're in a place where the petty wolf is winning in that inner battle, if you know what I'm saying. And there's no reason to judge yourself for that. Like, it's okay to care, it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be frustrated and upset that things have shifted. I definitely feel like the truth of this situation is that the vibe is off. There is something different. How willing this person is to communicate that to you, I think it's going to vary. And I feel like you'll know kind of intuitively whether it is worth confronting or worth waiting and seeing. And I think the truth here is that you need to trust whatever your guidance is telling you. I do think that there is a big energy of waiting and seeing, but there's nothing wrong with being like, hey, I noticed, like you've been less responsive recently. Like, is everything okay? What's going on? And I will say too, if you're the person that you may have to look at your perspective on giving, because you may feel like unless a person gives you the exact same energy back that you're giving them, then you look stupid or foolish for giving more or initiating or instigating when they don't give back the same energy. And I feel like, one, you're being called to look at the truth of how you feel about this person. Do you like who they are as a person? Do you like connecting with them, or do you like how they make you feel about yourself? Do you like the fact that they like you? I do think that there is a part of you that may not recognize where you latch on to not anyone that shows you romantic affection, but anyone that you're actually mutually interested in that shows you romantic affection, because you may be very picky and you may have very selective tastes, but I feel like what you may not be seeing is that you're not beholden to the situation. You're not stuck in the situation. You can either let it rest and see if it comes to you, because especially with the Six of Pentacles here, like this person, I feel like you could either wait and see if this person is going to reach out, and especially because this Tower card fell right into my lap. So if you feel intuitively like addressing the situation or addressing them doesn't feel right for you, or doesn't feel like at least the right time, I definitely wouldn't do that. I do think the biggest pitfall in this situation is how this situation can prey on existing insecurities within you that lead the petty wolf to come out. So I think the truth behind this situation for you is that this connection is highlighting insecurities within you that make connection more painful and that make connection more difficult. So what are these insecurities? What triggers these insecurities, and what are they really about? What are they tied to? Are they tied to your self-worth? Are they tied to the belief of your lovability or lack thereof? I really do think you're being called to look at where you can give to yourself, where you don't need another person, but also what does this person bring to the table besides the feelings you have for them? I do feel like whatever is happening is outside of your control and this person's control. So I do feel like one truth you're being called to be aware of is that this is not like intentionally malicious or like this person being shady. I do think that whatever is happening is a very big thing and a very and it's definitely something outside of their control. So I feel like more than anything, do not take whatever happens between the two of you as a sign of your lovability or as a sign of your worthiness of being in a relationship. Sometimes things work out, sometimes things don't. Who knows what's going to happen with this situation? It's heavily dependent on how you take action and what action this person takes. What's important for you to know is that whatever is happening on their end, you have to be at peace with how you are treating yourself and the decisions that you make towards that. So whether that is having a conversation or whether that is giving this person space and seeing if they come to you. Now, if you choose to give this person space, the worst thing that you can do is ruminate over the situation and keep wondering and keep worrying. You have to make the conscious effort to say, when I'm meant to know something about this situation, when this person is meant to come forward, they will. Or if I am meant to ask something, if I want clarity, I can reach out to them if I feel okay with that. You know what I mean? I think that this is a lot about just waiting and seeing, but not taking action prematurely from a place of anger or insecurity or sadness or frustration, because you may be jumping the gun. And it could be, you know, it reminds me of like the typical sitcom situation where, you know, the main character of the sitcom believes that someone is like really sinister and really like dangerous, and then they have all this evidence to prove it, and then it's like the hash slinging slasher from SpongeBob, you know. Squidward makes up that story to scare SpongeBob and mess with him on the night shift, which night shift, I love it. I'm also on the night shift, but I love night. Anyway, you know, Squidward makes up this story about the hash-slinging slasher to scare SpongeBob and creates lore for it and everything. And then, sure enough, that fear becomes real. Throughout the episode, there's confirmation of things, of Squidward's story of the hash-slinging slasher, and then in the middle of the night, some figure that looks like the hash-slinging slasher shows up. And they're scared out of their wits' end. I'm pretty sure SpongeBob loses his like eyelashes and eyebrows. But anyway, it turns out to just be some guy applying for a job. And Squidward made up this story. The walls always ooze green slime. The person calling was the guy trying to get a job. So it wasn't just the hash-slinging slasher calling. And it was Nosferatu flicking the lights. Point of me going on that dumb SpongeBob rant and poorly explaining an episode that is better if you just watch, is that there could be innocent explanations for things that never attribute malice to what could be caused by ignorance. And I think in this case, both you and this person have fears around communication, and I think that you are afraid of speaking up. But what I feel like you should know is that there's nothing wrong with, like, you know, asking someone like, hey, what's up? Like, there's a big difference between like, hey, I noticed your energy's like been kind of off. I know you've been kind of distant. Like, is there anything wrong? Like, can I help in any way? Versus, why aren't you talking to me? Seriously, like, why is your energy changed? Like, and getting all upset at them. You know what I mean? Like, one response is probably gonna prompt them to open up. The other response is probably going to prompt them to shut down and distance themselves. I'm not saying that you would do that, but I do think it can be easy to, you know, say or do something in the heat of the moment that we regret. And I think that if you really care about this person and this situation, you may have to kind of see what those feelings are actually communicating to you, because I promise it's deeper than just, I'm frustrated that this person isn't communicating to me, or I'm frustrated that this situation is where it's at. A lot of the frustration is definitely going to come from the fact that something within you that doesn't feel good enough, that doesn't feel worthy enough, that, you know, is wounded, is needing your love and needing your attention. Because only by like acknowledging it, accepting it, releasing that stuff, that and that process is different for everyone, so I'm not going to begin to like tell you how to do that, but what I do know is that like awareness is the first step to healing. And even just the awareness of how something makes you feel, like, you know, if someone doesn't respond to you in time, like if someone doesn't respond to you within a few hours, if you start to feel insecure, that might be a wound, that might be an abandonment wound. that you want to look at and be like, okay, so just because someone hasn't responded for a few hours doesn't mean that they have abandoned me. But if I haven't communicated to them how this makes me feel, maybe I should let them know, hey, it would mean so much to me if, like, you're gonna have a crazy day or not be available. Like, if you could just let me know, like that would be so helpful. Like, just stuff like that could be really, really beneficial. So overall, the truth behind the situation is, yeah, things are off and things are different. But I do think that this person does have feelings for you as well. I just think that they are dealing with something outside of their control that until it is complete, they're not going to be able to give as much to you. And I think that it's either up to you whether you wait and see what happens or you communicate with them. And I think that ultimately, like, if you're asking questions around, should I move on from this situation? Should I stay? Wait and see. Play it by ear. And if you're not in a commitment with someone, you're not bound to anything. So do what you want. That's your answer. So we're going to go ahead and finish this reading off with some final guidance for moving forward. So, Spirit, what guidance do you have for pile 1 when it comes to this situation moving forward? We have the 5 of Swords. I will heal myself. Yeah, so I feel like if you're worried about this person betraying you or things like that, I feel like one of the things that you have to remember is that, like, human relationships are never, like, cut and dry, and you never know what can happen. But what I do know is, and what you should know is that even if the worst does happen, as hard as it might be, as much as it might suck, you will get through it, you will be okay, and you will be I don't want to say a stronger person, because I feel like people get very sensitive about that, but I do think it takes strength to be honest about sensitivities, to be honest about how painful and hard things can be. But you will gain wisdom from those experiences, and you will also, the more you experience stuff like that, the more you learn how to grow from it, and the more, what you have to tell yourself is the fact that you don't even know if this person is doing that. But even if the potential is there, maybe you should focus on how you can nourish those parts of yourself that need to feel supported, seen, accepted, cared for, and kind of like keep in the back of your mind those things that will help you feel better, that will, the people that make you feel loved, like anything that is healing for you. I think, like, having that stuff in the back of your mind and knowing, even if the worst happens, like, I will be okay, I can find support and I will move through it. That's the unfortunate aspect of life. We don't know, we can't control how things happen, we can't control other people, but what I do know is that rejection is divine protection and divine redirection. So if you and this person don't work out, that's not a sign of failure, but rather that's a sign you're closer to the person you will work with, and you're one step closer to where you want to be. Does that make sense? I know it doesn't make, like, the hardship any easier, but I really do feel like this 5 of Swords, and what's so interesting is that I haven't even, you assume that this person is going to do this to you. And assumptions, they make an ass out of you and me, don't they? And I think in this case, you are creating a lot of pain for yourself by assuming the worst of this person. And if roles were reversed, how would you want this person to assume those things about you? And really, what you need to take a step back and realize is that whatever assumptions or conclusions you are jumping to, that's where pain lies. That's where light needs to be shown. That's where your awareness needs to be directed to, because those are the parts of you screaming, saying, hey, I need love, I don't feel safe, please acknowledge me, please love me. And the more you accept those parts of yourself and have compassion for them, it doesn't mean you, like, love your wounds. It just means that you have compassion for the fact you're human. You do have wounds. the process of healing those is going to be different for every single person, and healing is never linear. So be patient with yourself, be patient with this person, and be patient with this situation. And in the meantime, act in accordance with what you feel in your heart is right. Do not let your brain run away with fear and make you feel like you have to do something or that you're running out of time. All is as it's meant to be. And when you can't control a situation, when you're waiting for things to shift, that's an excellent time to pay attention to the parts of yourself that need addressing, so that whenever you do inevitably connect, no matter in what way that may be, the parts of you that have been triggered in the first place, or at the very least, you're more aware of them. Maybe they're less intense, they're less of a big deal, or you have the coping skills to support yourself through them. That's really what's important. And what you need to know is that if you have a fundamental, like, you need to check your beliefs. I'll never find love. Oh, I'm just too broken. No, you're not. You're not. Don't, and I'm not gonna like, oh my gosh, no, you're not. I'm saying that firmly. Don't talk to yourself like that. I will not like pander that type of talk and be sweet about it, because it's not okay. That is an act of violence against yourself. I do it too. We all do it. And we need to be harder on ourselves about that. We need to be harder on ourselves so that we can be kinder to ourselves. Anyway, what other guidance do you have for pile 1, Spirit? What other guidance do you have for pile 1? We have the Page of Cups. I am as young as I choose to feel. Yeah, I feel like your guys are wanting to remind you too that when you start taking things too seriously, or when you start like, and I don't mean taking things too seriously in the sense that like everything's a joke. I just mean that, like, you know, if you're so strained and worried about something that you can't do something just for the sake of enjoyment, like take a bath or, you know, read a story you like, I feel like your guides are really encouraging you to get into your playful energy and just do things that are fun. I also think that when it comes to approaching this person, if you are considering that, I think the best approach is a lighthearted one, is one that is more open-ended rather than accusatory or like, I need an answer now. Especially if you're unsure of like what this person's response is going to be. But I think the big important understanding about this entire situation is that this situation is so much more about you than it is them. It's about how you're responding to it, and how the situation is making you feel, and how the situation is is shedding light on pain that exists within you. It's not creating pain within you, but it's making you aware of where pain still exists within you. I also think with this Page of Cups, you're really being encouraged to not allow your past to jade your perception of this person and people in the future. That is definitely you might not even realize how you create self-fulfilling prophecies, because you just don't want to trust and believe in that something could be different, that something could be better, that something could work out. And I think that you have this fear of like hope because you have been disappointed. But the thing is about hope is like, if you don't have hope, don't hope for a specific outcome. Hope that whatever happens, you'll be okay and things get better. And trust and have faith in that, and you'll see it happen in front of your eyes. But finally, Spirit, what final guidance do you have for... And I guess that goes to say, too, this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be friendship or anything like that as well. But what last piece of guidance do you have for pile 1, please, Spirit? We have Judgment. I look back with compassion for myself. Yeah, so I definitely think that in this process of facing like these wounds, it may be really hard for you to like look at them, because you may just want to be like, oh, why was I so stupid for believing that person? Or I can't believe I did that. Or I can't believe I gave them a second chance. Or I can't believe I did that. Blah, 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 blah. Have compassion for past versions of yourself. They've brought you to the present version of you, which is lovely, by the way. And you have to remember that the past versions of you were doing the best they could with the knowledge they had. And I think in this case, whatever happens here, the answer will come as a relief. Like, there will be an answer. With this Judgment card, there is reassurance of the fact that you will get clarity on this situation. But the answer hasn't materialized yet. It's in the process of forming right now. And I think for you, you might find that you created a whole lot of worry and stress for yourself for nothing, or you focused on maybe things that were less productive, and you may be frustrated about, you know, the time that wasted or something like that. And I feel like you're really being called to acknowledge the fact that, like, you're human. You're allowed to dilly-dally. You're allowed to get swept up in something and miss a day, you know? Have compassion for yourself and have compassion for the situation, because I think whatever this person is dealing with, it's no small thing. But I feel like more than anything, where you judge yourself or where you judge others or get frustrated, those are areas that you need to look at as, like, okay, there's something within me that needs my acknowledgement, needs my love, needs my awareness, so that I can see this situation through the eyes of love rather than through the eyes of pain. But more than anything, you will get your answer. Do what brings you the most peace in the meantime, and be patient with yourself in that process. So pile 1, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else, because that's the simplest and easiest way to support me, especially financially, in these readings. So thank you for that. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, like I said, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates, and you can subscribe if you haven't already. You can click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, you can check out my candles, be sure to use code ISO10 for 10% off. You can check out my other videos, be sure to check out my union reading coming soon. And if you're watching this later in the future, see if it's out. I hope it is. Should be. And I have social media. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. And I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Pyrite with Inside Clear Quartz and the Lua Tarot, then this is going to be your reading on the truth behind your situation. So we're going to start by looking at what your situation is. If this part resonates, then this reading is for you. If it doesn't, then this reading is not for you. Yeah. But while I'm shuffling, feel free to just kind of focus on the deck and set the intention that the situation that is on your mind comes through, and just kind of focus on that situation while I shuffle, if you want to. Once we have confirmed what your situation is, I'm going to use another deck to look at the truth behind it, and another tarot deck for guidance. Also, I hope you're okay with the vibes that we have going on. I really cannot do harsh lighting right now. I don't like doing harsh lighting in general, but I just wanted something cozy and chill. Anyway. Spirit, what's the sitch for Pile 2? What is Pile 2's situation that they need clarity on, please? What is... Okay, we have the Six of Wands. This is the situation. We have the Ace of Wands. This is the situation. We have the Nine of Swords. Is that guy naked? Okay, good. Not that I would care, it's that YouTube cares. I say free the nipple no matter what body you inhabit, but YouTube doesn't think so. What is the situation that pile 2, sorry, is curious about? We have the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, well, that looks phallic. What is that? This is the only downside to not being able to... This is the only downside to not having harsh lights in front of my face. Okay. It's definitely not a penis, so I think we're good. Okay, one more. What is the truth? Side note, Ace of Wands, if any card represents the male appendage, that card, it is the dick card. Anyway, sorry. What is the truth behind pile 2's, or what is pile 2's situation? Sorry, lacking focus. Okay, we have Judgment. All right, okay. So, tale as old as time. Guess who's being too hard on themselves? There's only 2 of us here, so I'll wait. In case you couldn't tell, it's you. You're being too hard on yourself. And in this case, I definitely feel like you are overthinking about the fact that things are going well right now, or at the very least, you don't feel the way you thought you would feel when you got to this point in your life. With the 6 of Wands and the Ace of Wands here, I feel like you are feeling good and confident about where you're at in life. Like you've had public success in some way, whether that is like, or public recognition. So whether that is like, you know, you've gotten promoted, or you are in a situation where you're leading others, or, and it doesn't even, I guess it doesn't even have to be public. It could be like, maybe you have overcome like a pretty significant battle. Like for like a silly example, like let's say your HOA president is the absolute worst. I know for a lot of you that's probably the case. Did you mean every HOA president? I'm sure there's one that's not bad out there. I don't know. I never want to know. I fear HOAs. But like, let's say for example, you beat your horrible HOA president in the HOA election, and now you're HOA president. You might be having like feelings of accomplishment, but then at the same time feel like maybe you thought once you achieve this thing that you were going to feel better, or that, you know what this is? You are reaching goals that you've had for a very long time, and how you feel and your mental health have followed you. And that's not surprising, because it seems like you used your goals and ambitions as a way to escape from the internal issues you didn't want to acknowledge. So unsurprisingly, the issues that were there that, you know, you weren't acknowledging, that you were distracting yourself from by focusing on your success and focusing on, and this success could be literally in anything. You'll know this is for you if you've reached some sort of milestone in your life that you've either looked forward to, or that you thought once you achieved it that you had made it, or that you would feel better, that you would feel more assured, that you would feel like you've made it, or fulfilled, or satisfied. You're not satisfied. She'll never be satisfied. Thinking of that Hamilton song. You giving off, which one is it? Is it in, I don't know. That's actually kind of shameful. I should know that history, but I do. I'm just not thinking about it right now. You are pile 2. I am like, even I may have diagnosed ADHD, but the distraction here is on another level. You cannot keep distracting yourself and assume your problems are going to be solved. You cannot spiritually bypass your problems. You cannot just pretend like things are all better. And if you continue to believe that you just need to do this thing or reach this milestone and then everything will be fixed and everything will be better, it's not going to happen. Which, truthfully, this should be coming through in the truthful part. What is the truth of this situation? Because we're still just looking at what is the situation. But the situation is that you are waiting for some sort of breakthrough, some sort of like clarity around why you don't feel as satisfied as you think you should, why you seem to be, it's like you're making progress, but you've made lots of progress actually, but you feel like you're the same person. You feel stuck in a past version of yourself. You feel stuck. It's like you've made so much progress, but it feels like you've gone nowhere. And I think some of that is just you being hard on yourself, but I think the other part of it is that you haven't addressed the underlying reasons why you were so motivated to be so ambitious in the first place. A part of me wonders if this ambition and desire for recognition, you know, and this desire to be successful is a way of you trying to acknowledge and validate yourself and the wounded parts of yourself, because you may have this assumption of, well, I'll feel good about myself once I have this thing to validate me. You know, anything that your ego latches onto, it's never going to be a solid thing that actually brings you a sense of fulfillment. And the thing is no matter, it doesn't matter what you're actually doing, what you're actually finding success in. If you are not satisfied with your accomplishments, if you are not, oh my God, what's the quote? Running towards something is never good if you're running away from something else, because inevitably it's just going to come back around. Now, the cool thing is that you're in a position where you've achieved cool things, awesome things. I don't know what those things are. Let me know what those things are. I would love to hear. Congratulations, whatever those things you're achieving are. And maybe that achievement is just overcoming challenges, you know, doing something differently, whatever it may be. It's important for you. And it's worthy of your acknowledgement and celebration. But the belief and assumption that by getting there, like everything is going to be gone, that's just not the case. But like, what's cool is that you do at the very least have this acknowledgement of, look at all these things you've done. You can definitely handle looking at the things you've been avoiding, especially because as you do that, you're going to feel more and more like the present version of yourself. And you're going to be more and more at peace with your progress and your success. So the situation here is, no matter what you seem to achieve, it's never enough. No matter how you seem to change, you still feel like the same person. And it seems like, you know, you're just in this position where you are assuming that at some point things are just going to click and you're not going to have the same troubles and worries and problems that you did before. But now that you've achieved some things and you feel the same as you did before, now you're like, well, now what do I do? So what is the truth behind the situation? So I think I kind of jumped forward there. That'd be so funny if the cards just said like the exact opposite of everything I said. I would, anyway, let's just see what the truth behind the situation is. So, Spirit, what is the truth behind the situation for pile 2? Okay. So we have the Hanged One in reverse, transition, sacrifice. We have the Queen of Wands upright, generosity, tenacity. We have the Five of Wands upright, frustration, opposition. What is the truth? Okay, I think this one's to stay reversed. We have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, culmination, satisfaction. Okay. And one more. What is the truth behind this situation? We have the Eight of Cups, new direction, walking away. Okay. What's on the back of the deck? Oh, Nine of Swords on the back of the deck. Conflict, anguish. Okay. So, this is nuanced. I hope I do this justice. I'm really sorry if I can't. The truth is that you fight yourself. And I think it's kind of interesting because like pile one had a similar theme of fighting themselves, but for different reasons. You're fighting yourself around your definition of success and what it is you actually want out of life. I definitely feel like you are at odds with what you truly desire. Well, you're at odds with a lot of things. It's not just, so you have what your heart and soul desires. You have what your ego desires. You have what you were taught that you should desire, and you have the desire of other folks, what other folks desire to see happen to you, for you, etc. And then also just the fear and uncertainty of what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Like, the truth is that you're enough. Whether you find the cure to cancer or do nothing for the rest of your life, you're enough, no matter what. And your worthiness is not tied to either of those things. I mean, it'd be pretty badass if you found the cure to cancer, but like, don't announce it, maybe, so that, okay, I'm getting silly now, but point being, your worth is not tied to your achievements. And you're gonna always feel like you're fighting, and you're never gonna feel enough if you continue to believe that the next achievement is gonna be what satiates that gnawing void inside of you. And the thing is that void is not the presence of nothingness. That void is the lack of nourishment that parts of you are not receiving, because either you don't know how to do that, or you don't even know those parts of you exist and need nourishment. I feel like one big part of you that needs nourishment is the part of you that gives yourself room to just enjoy life and have fun. With the Queen of Wands here especially, I feel like you only justify doing things that are fun or doing things that are enjoyable if there's a net benefit for the people around you, or if you can justify it. Like if you can get the time off from work, or if you get all your stuff done. It's almost like you need a reason to do kind things for yourself, and that is not okay. You are never going to be fulfilled if you continue to move the goalposts on yourself of what's acceptable, what's successful, and what's worthy. The reality of the situation is, the more you achieve, the more normal things will feel, and the more you're going to want to push the bar further. You have to ask yourself what is truly enough for you and what is truly satisfying. One big truth is that values and belief systems that were instilled with you are very, I don't want to say the word problematic, because I feel like it is problematic though. Like, and I don't mean, and what I mean by problematic is problematic for you, in the sense that these belief systems may work for your family members, they may work for other people, but they're not working for you. Because if you've been living by them, at some point, you have to realize that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And I think in your case, there could be people in your life, and I think especially family members, where it doesn't matter what you do. You could like shit gold and barf rainbows, and they would complain, and it still wouldn't be enough, you know? And I think that the truth of the situation is that there are I'm trying to think of the right way to word this. There are, this is not the right word, but it's almost like, you know how in school, if you're doing an assignment, the teacher will give you a rubric, and the rubric goes over like what's expected in the assignment. It's almost like you have a rubric for yourself, but the rubric is like insanely unfair to yourself. It's like, what it comes down to is it seems like you're very good at figuring out you're very good at finding ways to affirm to yourself that you're not enough, to affirm to yourself that you need to do more, that you need to be more. And I think that there is a need for you to look at, what values am I upholding that drain the life out of me and keep me unsatisfied? I feel like one thing you need to know is that your worthiness does not come from your accomplishments, and you're not stuck here. The only reason you feel stuck is because you refuse to acknowledge the parts of yourself that want to be seen and that want to be free. And I think those parts of yourself are not focused on achievement. They're not focused on setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. I think they're focused on things like rest. I think they're focused on things like enjoying yourself. I think they're focused on things like taking your time and giving yourself breaks. I think they're focused on things like just doing something for the sake of enjoyment. I can see in my mind's eye SpongeBob when he's at Sandy's house and he's like literally drying out and will not tell Sandy that he needs water. Like, you need more water in your life. Like, you need more time to tap into your emotions. I feel like really more than anything, how are you ever going to feel satisfied if you're detached from your emotional body? If you are uncomfortable with having feelings, yeah, you're never going to feel satisfied because you're not doing the feeling thing anyway. You know what I mean? And part of feeling your feelings is feeling the shitty ones. And the shitty ones always stick out more than the positive ones do. But I promise you, it's worth moving through the shitty ones, because the good feelings, the bliss that can come from accomplishments when done in alignment with your heart and done from a place of love and from a place of balance rather than a place of depletion and a place of should, that's going to feel so much different, and you're going to be shocked at how much easier things flow for you and how much less you doubt yourself. The only reason you doubt yourself is because you're living life in a way that doesn't resonate with who you truly are. And what you're going through right now is the process of recognizing that you don't know who you truly are because you haven't had the opportunity to explore the different layers of yourself and the different aspects of yourself. And so, and you really can't start to do that if you don't give yourself room to start exploring. And in your case, I think that there may be habits, behaviors, and beliefs that you need to walk away from because they create a lot of mental and emotional strife for you. With the Eight of Cups here, I feel like it's time for you to walk away from how rigorous you are, like you've been towards yourself. I really do feel like you need to trust that you can get shit done. Like, you are so powerful. And when you set your mind to something, you can make anything happen. But I think the problem is that when your mind isn't set on something and it's left to its own devices, then everything that you haven't been acknowledging, everything that you've been avoiding comes to the forefront. And you're like, oh my God, like, why do I feel this way? And it's like, why wouldn't you feel this way? It's been here all along. You just haven't been paying attention to it. Now that you're not distracted, it's going to be coming back up again. But the thing is that you're not meant to fight it. You're meant to flow with it and see what it's telling you. You know, if you've achieved something major and you still don't feel good enough, that's not a sign that what you just achieved wasn't enough. That's a sign that you have some sort of belief of around your worthiness as a person and around I feel like you may feel like you're not allowed to feel good. you may almost punish yourself subconsciously because you feel like if things are easy, if you feel good, then you're doing something wrong, or then the rug's gonna get ripped out from underneath you and then everything's gonna go to shit. The truth is that you can get a lot more done when you have a more balanced way of approaching things and when you spend time with yourself. I feel like the relationship that you need to prioritize right now is the relationship with yourself, because I think that you have been looking for yourself in others, and you've been looking for other people to acknowledge how exhausted you are, how frustrated you are, how confused you are, and recognize that your life path is not about career. Career is one element of your life, but it is not your life, and it should not be the source of all your joy or the source of all of your validation. You will always be vulnerable in that sense. Like, you will always lack self-esteem if you never acknowledge, if you're constantly like working to escape yourself. You know what I mean? No wonder you have low self-esteem. You won't even spend time with yourself. And I think more and more you should start to recognize where you reinforce unhelpful belief systems and unhelpful ideas of what makes you valid as a person. Also concepts of femininity and masculinity. What is your relationship to those? Do you feel like you are unsuccessful because you are not fitting a stereotype or a societal definition of what it means to be, a person, or to be in some sort of group, or to express some sort of energy? You really need to ask yourself, what definitions are you holding yourself to, and do they resonate with who you actually are? And if they don't, why are you holding on to them? Why do you think they are more valid just because they're outside of you? You have a lot of internal power, and I feel like all you need to recognize is that the world is not going to implode if you let yourself rest. The world is not going to implode if you decide that you disagree with something. The world is not going to implode if you choose to take a different path, or if you choose to do something differently than you have before. You might find that your world is actually a lot more light and free because you're no longer chaining yourself to prisons of other people's beliefs, trying to enforce them on yourself under the guise that information outside of you must be inherently better or more valid than what's within you. You know that you have so much to give to the world. But if you believe that the world knows you better than you know yourself, you are doing yourself such a disservice. You and the universe know a lot better what you can provide to the world than other people do. And if you continue to look for yourself in the external world, you're going to find yourself disappointed. Everything that you're looking for is within. And achievement should not be something that is tied to your sense of self-worth. It should be something that can bring joy, and that can be something that makes you feel confident in yourself, that makes you feel good. You should feel good about those things, but they shouldn't be everything. And you also shouldn't be in a position where your life is so centered around it that you have no sense of self outside of it. Just because that's how it was for your parents, or that's how it's been in your family, doesn't mean that you have to adhere to it. You're an individual, and you can make the choice to do something differently. Now, if you're younger than 18 and you're about to come into my comment section and say, well, I can't do that because, well, guess what? These readings are meant for people that are 18 and older. I'm not going to shame you for being here, but you have the frustrating job of growing up before you can make decisions for yourself. Unfortunately, your brain is not fully developed and you're not capable of being a fully grown adult yet. That's okay. Didn't mean to lambast any of the youngsters out there, but listen, I know you know everything, but let's take a step back and ask ourselves. Point of what I was just saying is, like, you know, if you're not an adult yet, like, you have a lot less control. And I'm sorry, that sucks, but it's part of life. It's just, it is what it is. You're gonna have to be patient and work with yourself. And it is healthy already to start working on that stuff, because especially when you're younger, achievement and things like grades and shit like that is so important. And you know, achievement, oh, gifted, blah, 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 you know, all those labels, not necessarily beneficial. And I think that you need to ask yourself what labels you're holding yourself to and what beliefs you have about yourself that don't serve you. And also, if you rely on validation from certain people in your family or certain people in your life that maybe are hard to please, or that, you know, you feel like you could never satisfy, I think you might need to move on from the idea of needing their approval, you know? Would you want someone burning themselves at both ends to please you? No. So if someone is that way to you, it's clearly not because they care about you as a person. Well, I mean, they may care about you and love you, but they may have their own issues that get in the way of them doing that properly. And so it's important to recognize that if you're looking at other people's satisfaction before you're looking at your own, you are going to be upset. And I really do feel like the more you acknowledge the fact that you're already doing great, and if you can just allocate more time for rest, allocate more time to be gentle and nourish yourself, and pay attention to the parts of yourself that are depleted, the parts of yourself that make you feel like you need to overcompensate. Like, those are the parts of you that need your attention, and those are going to be the parts of you that make you feel secure and not engaging in this behavior anymore. And in recognizing the value in your present and seeing all the blessings already around you, and acknowledging how far you've come and how badass it is that you've come this far, and you've grown this much. Like, all of that is awesome. What isn't awesome is moving the goalposts on yourself and acting like there's more and more and more. Don't do that to yourself. It's not fair. And if anything, you're just keeping yourself stuck in a cycle of misery when you're meant to be enjoying the fruits of your labor. And the fruits of your labor should not be a reflection of the worth of your work. It just should be something that you appreciate receiving in a response to your giving, right? I'm feeling rambly. I am a bit rambly, but I think that's partially because there are certain things you just won't let rest. And I think the thing is that you may need to take from the most, like, serious concerns you have, you may need to just give them space and find peace in not knowing, and recognize that when I'm meant to know, when you're meant to know an answer, when I'm meant to know an answer, because I was speaking in your terms, it will be revealed to me. I think the truth right now is that it's going to become increasingly, especially now that you've seen this reading, it's going to become increasingly more clear to you what in your outer world is not serving you, what behaviors and beliefs are not serving you. And it's going to be up to you to find the truth underneath those belief systems, in terms of, like, how did they originate? Was I taught them? Do they stem from a wound? Do they stem from a societal belief? Just seeing where those start, seeing why they might be there, and then also asking yourself, like, is that true to me? It's probably not. Like, I think the more you validate and affirm what's actually meaningful to you, the less you will be concerned about what other people care about. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and shuffle your guidance now. But I guess I want to summarize this truth as, the truth is, behind this is that the reason you feel unfulfilled is because your issues follow you wherever you go. If you avoid them, if you don't acknowledge them, that doesn't mean they go away. It might mean that they get even bigger and they continue to subconsciously direct you until you make them conscious. But the truth is that you're doing amazing, and you need to give yourself more grace and more compassion. And the truth is that you may find it painful to disappoint other people, but the freedom that comes from living a life actually that's actually authentic to you and that's actually balanced and suited to the person that you are is gonna feel so much better than continuing to live a life that doesn't serve you, continuing to live in a way that depletes you for the potential opportunity of maybe pleasing other people. So let's go ahead and look at your guidance. Okay, well actually no, your guidance wants to come out. And I love that. Okay, so it just like popped out and it's all for you. So with the 10 of Cups, we have, I have all I wish for in my relationships. So I definitely think that when it comes to relationships, I think this 10 of Cups with the relationship, like when it comes to relationships, I think you need to look at the relationship with yourself. Where are you not seeing yourself? And also, where are you unable to be present in your relationships because you are engrossed with external achievement to boost your self-esteem? I feel like with this 10 of Cups here, you deserve to have reciprocal relationships that make you feel good. You deserve to have relationships that are not taxing. You deserve to have relationships with people that are understanding of what you need and that are supportive of the person that you want to become. And I feel like this is also a sign that you can have everything you wish for in your relationship. So if you're settling for unsatisfying relationships, draining relationships, those are the ones you need to walk away from. With Temperance, we have, I find clarity through calm. So if you have a hard time sitting in silence or dealing with difficult emotions when they arise, I would highly recommend getting a candle. The best candles are on Angelic Magic 888's website, and you can use code ASO10 for 10% off. But you can use any candle. But those ones are really nice, so I thought I would mention that. And just light the candle and watch the flame. And breathe through whatever is coming up and just watch the flame dance. May take a while, but just sit in the emotion and breathe through it. Don't try to analyze it. Don't try to understand it. Just flow with it and just see what happens. I feel like one thing that you might find is that just feeling those emotions and allowing them to flow is healing enough on its own to where you don't even need to necessarily consciously acknowledge certain things. Like sometimes you may just need to have a good cry. Sometimes you may just need to get frustrated and punch a pillow or scream into a pillow or scream into the void or whatever. You know, sometimes you just gotta get a feeling out, and that's okay. I feel like, you know, if you are ever in a situation where emotions are high or your thoughts are racing and you can't seem to find the truth, don't act from impulse. I feel like your most self-destructive behaviors might come when you feel out of control internally. And this Temperance card is talking about recognizing that when you feel out of control, that is not the sign to try to take control back. That is a sign to slow down and wait. When you have a big feeling or a big or racing thoughts, that's when you want to take a step back and be like, okay, whoa, I need to calm myself. I need to sit with this, or I need to breathe. Whatever you can do to bring a sense of calm. And instead of looking for an answer or knowing what to do, just flowing with what is and letting answers come to you naturally. I think that it's really important for you to have patience with yourself as you move through this process. Especially when it comes to like those gnawing feelings of those gnawing feelings of not being enough, of feeling unsatisfied. I feel like acknowledging those and then being like, I've got a roof over my head, I'm fed, I'm doing something really awesome. Like listing off things that are already going well in your life, I think could be a beneficial way of you acknowledging where maybe you're not seeing all of the wonderful things in your life and all of the wonderful things you've already accomplished. I feel like it would just be really helpful for you to recognize like when maybe your brain is catastrophizing things or overwhelming you, And like, and from that place, you can be like, oh, okay, yes, I feel unsatisfied, maybe because this project isn't coming along as quickly as I'd like, but I'm putting my all in, and, you know, I finished that previous project that I never thought I'd get done, and, you know, I'm at least acknowledging that I feel this way. And that's another thing too. When you have these feelings of unfulfillment, shaming yourself for having them is not going to help anything. Compassionately accept whatever wants to come through, because your feelings, your emotions are data, just like anything else. And it can communicate a lot to you. So the more you pay attention and sit with them, the more they will reveal to you. And the more awareness you have, the more you can take action from a place that is constructive and helpful rather than destructive and harmful. Anyway, we also have Judgment. I look back with compassion for myself. So yeah, you are going to have to come to terms. There could be things that maybe have been kind of haunting you that you don't want to acknowledge, like, you know, painful past experiences, painful realizations, whatever it may be. And I feel like you're really being called to not judge yourself, and to judgment's coming out twice. And so I feel like you really need to be compassionate towards yourself and recognize where maybe you are not allowing yourself to be human, where you're being unfair to yourself, and also recognize that you're allowed to make mistakes and you deserve to give yourself grace for those mistakes. You also deserve to be compassionate towards yourself and do what is going to be fulfilling for you, and not in a way that is based on like other people's validation, but rather, you know, something that's genuinely satisfying and genuinely feels good to you. I feel like with the Judgment card, the more you do things that are genuinely satisfying, the more you make time to have a balanced life that gives you the opportunity to express all parts of yourself, not just the ambitious parts, but you know, the parts of you that want to connect with friends, the parts of you that want to be silly and have fun, the parts of you that want to, you know, push your physical limits and try new hikes, or like, you know what I mean? Like giving yourself room to explore and having compassion for the fact that it takes time to grow as a person. It takes time to find the solutions, and we all have wounds. Wounds do not make you weak. Wounds are where the light comes in. And I feel like the more you see how you were acting, how like so much of your behavior was driven by like subconscious insecurities or subconscious fears, the more you will have compassion for those past versions of yourself, and just recognize that, you know, you were doing the best you could with the knowledge you had, and that's not something to be ashamed of, but rather it's important to acknowledge, like, wow, you know, I've come a long way if I can be presently aware of that and, you know, choose to do differently in the future. Like, I needed to go through those things so I could learn that about myself. And I think more than anything, the more compassion you have for yourself, the more compassion you'll have for others, and recognize that you don't need their approval, you don't need their understanding in order for you to do what's right for you. We also have the Knight of Cups. I know that the right person waits until I'm ready. So I guess this could be towards a romantic relationship, but I think that, so yeah, I guess if you're worried that like maybe you think you need to have certain accomplishments in order to be worthy of someone, you know, you may want to check that, but you may want to like, you know, maybe like recognizing that that's not the case. And if someone needs you to have certain accomplishments in order to be worthy of them, then maybe that's not someone you want to be engaging with. But also I think that one thing you need to recognize is that you're not missing out. You're not missing out on the things that are meant for you. The things that are meant for you flow in the perfect time, in the perfect way. But I think that you may be assuming you're less ready for things than you actually are. And I think that your sense of readiness to share more with others and open up more is not based on external achievement, but rather based on how you feel about yourself and where you're at in terms of what you're actually capable of giving. And I think that your perception of what you're capable of giving is not accurate, or at the very least is not it's not a reflection of what it could be, because you're still devoting maybe too much time and energy to, you know, very specific things, and maybe neglecting other parts of yourself that need seen. I think that, you know, more than anything, this Knight of Cups to me is a lot about, even though it talks about a person, I know that the right person waits until I'm ready. I feel like this is also an acknowledgement of your wounds will wait until you are ready to acknowledge them. Like, they're not going anywhere. And if you continue to live under the belief that you can just ignore them and they'll go away, you are going to always be in for a rude awakening when you inevitably see how that wound has been subconsciously directing your behavior. And I think what you need to know is that if you're not ready to face something, that's okay. If you need support in facing something, that's also okay. You know, you can't do everything yourself, especially sometimes bigger things. You know, sometimes we need a support system, whether it's a counselor, a trusted friend, a therapist, whatever it may be. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in help either. And awareness of wounds doesn't mean that you need to immediately heal them. Awareness in of itself can be a very powerful thing. So just know that you don't have to have everything figured out tomorrow. You don't have to be completely healed. You know, you don't have to be at some checkpoint in order for other aspects of your life to start, or in order for you to be allowed to enjoy life or have more fun. You have the opportunity to do those things now. And you also have the opportunity to take a look at why you think you're not allowed to do that right now. The more balanced and fair and patient you can be with yourself, the better outcomes you're going to have, and the less you're going to feel compelled to act from a place of impulse that maybe leads to destructive behaviors that you don't align with. More than anything, though, you're doing great. You're quite literally doing amazing, sweetie. And I think what you need to know is that you are so much more than you currently see, and I can't wait for you to just discover how awesome you are and how much you have to give to the world. And the more you recognize that and acknowledge that for yourself, the more effortless it will be for you to give, because you'll know what your limits are, and you'll know what is most beneficial, what is most efficient in terms of giving. And you'll find too that in return you're receiving the same sorts of energies. Like, the more you in alignment you are with giving from your heart, the more you're going to be able to receive, as long as you're open to receiving it. You could block some blessings if you don't feel worthy or open to what the universe wants to give you. But oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know. Okay, this is super important. If you've been curious about why certain goals aren't materializing, it could be because you feel like you're not worthy of actually receiving those things. So the universe is waiting for you to acknowledge that you are worthy of having those things, of achieving those things, of reaching these milestones, of taking these risks, trying these things, asking those people out. That's all available to you. You just have to believe you're worthy of it. And the more you believe it and trust that you'll see it, the easier things will flow, and the less you'll feel like you need to be uncertain. I have no clue if anything I've said makes any sense at all, but I feel satisfied. So that must be a sign that I've reached the conclusion of this reading. So pile 2, that is where I'm going to leave your reading. Thank you guys. I hope it all made sense. Thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. Thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else. That is one of the simplest and most helpful ways that you can support me, aside from watching a reading and with an extended and getting the extended. But if you would like to support me in other ways, liking the video is super helpful. Thank you to everyone who does that. You can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch. You can check out my candles. Like I said earlier, be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. You can check out my social media. And yeah, I think that's all I have. So thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Rainbow Clear Quartz and the Wandering Moon Tarot, this is going to be your reading on the truth behind your situation. So what I'm going to start by doing is shuffling to see what your situation is. So we got a situation. I don't know why I didn't think of the Jersey Shore until now, but anyway, maybe the Jersey Shore is significant to you. Anyway, meow, 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 meow. What was I saying? Your situation. So if this resonates, now I'm just gonna think of the situation. Anyway, we're gonna see what yours is. If this resonates, then this reading is for you. If it doesn't, then I would try a different pile. I'm gonna shuffle this one more time and just focus. I told the other decks to do this. Just kind of focus on what your situation is while I'm shuffling and just set the intention that that situation comes through. Ouch. Okay. Spirit, what is pile 3's situation that they're needing clarity on? What is pile 3's? Okay, we have, is that the Ten of Swords? Yeah, Ten of Swords in reverse. This pile, we have the Fool in reverse. This pile 3's situation. We have the Ten of Wands. So tens are significant. Is the situation. We have the Star. And we have the Hangman in reverse. Okay. Oh, this is definitely the pile I want to give a big hug. The Tower just fell off of the deck as I set it aside. I definitely think... Let me wait. Okay. So it seems like your situation is a vibe of, when is this shit going to end? I can tell you know that things will get better. You do have hope for the future, which is awesome. And you know that things will get better. But they've been pretty sucky for a while, and it seems like a situation that ended in your past that was really painful. It seems like even though it has ended, you're still grieving the ending of that, or grieving that you're grieving that ending, or unresolved feelings from that ending are keeping you from feeling like you can start fresh. I feel like you are waiting for like things to get lighter. And there is this feeling of just like, even though, let's say you've done a lot to start fresh in life, but it feels like even if your environment is different, even if your mentality is different, even if your perspective is different, you don't really feel like a new version of yourself. You don't feel like you're starting new. It seems like even if you are physically in a different place, it seems like mentally and emotionally, you're still kind of stuck in the past. And that is creating a lot of stress for you and definitely making you feel stuck. The fact that we have the Tower here that like popped out, I do feel like there is a part of you that is very afraid of like things getting worse, and like, what if I'm being delusional and being hopeful, which is like totally not the case. But also, I do feel like whatever ending that happened, it was kind of divinely guided to happen. Especially if it was in regards to like a relationship not working out, or in regards to like any situation that took you a while to move through. Like, for example, maybe like this could be like a career. Like maybe you put so many years into a company and they completely screwed you over, and you had no choice but to quit just to like save your dignity, but the wound of that is still there. Like, this could be so many things, but this Ten of Swords is something that was really meaningful to you, something that you really cared about, something that you worked hard on for a long time ended, whether you had control in it or not. And it's almost like you've kind of had to move forward whether you've wanted to or not. And it seems like there is just this feeling of like, man, like when are things going to get lighter, and when are things going to get better? I think you're aware of the fact that you're not over this situation. And part of me wonders if you think that you should be over it. But I also do think with the Tower falling off the top of the deck, there is this, I do think that things will be shifting. Like, the divine will be helping you with this. I know a lot of people are afraid of the Tower, but the Tower is only something to be afraid of if your tower was built on shaky ground. And the Tower always talks about like divine intervention, and what happens after the Tower is always the Star. Okay, so I think I definitely think that whatever Tower moments, if any, happened, they've already happened. And they may have led to some sort of ending that was very painful for you. And as a result, it's like you kind of had no choice but to start fresh, to move forward. But it's almost like you had to start over whether you wanted to or not. And I think that there is some frustration and some resentment at the universe for these changes, even if you know in your heart they had to happen, even if you know that it was inevitable. I feel like there is a part of you that is resenting the fact that you weren't ready for it, or you thought you had more time, or you thought that, you know, you just weren't ready to move forward, and the universe did it for you. And I definitely think that there could be some pain with that. And I also think that there may be a part of you feeling like, even though you intellectually know that things will get better, I think part of you feels like, what if it never does? Or when is that going to happen? Because I feel stuck in this pain, like it's not going anywhere. So let's see the truth behind this situation and see what Spirit wants you to know about this. And while I'm shuffling, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who takes the time to leave me a like or subscribe or like watch the ads, especially if you watch the ads. I'm just saying, like, you have a special seat in heaven. I just wanted to thank you guys for supporting me. It just helps me more than you realize, and it's just so meaningful to me that, you know, we're able to do this, and it can be 2 a.m. on a Monday night, and I'm just, you know, here reading. I feel so blessed to be able to spend time with you. Anyway, Spirit, what's the truth behind this situation that pile 3 needs to see? Okay, so we have the 2 of Cups, respect, balance. What is the truth? Okay. We have the 5 of Wands, frustration, opposition. We have the Queen of Swords, self-reliant, perceptive. And we have the 7 of Pentacles, investment, diligence. And one more, Spirit. We have the 8 of Swords, overcoming fears and self-entrapment. Okay. And then on the bottom of the deck is the 7 of Swords. Okay, yeah. So as I was laying out those cards, that song, I don't know what it's called, but I've heard it 7 trillion times because of not literally TikTok, but what other platforms use to mimic TikTok. That song that's like, I was 19 in a white dress when you call me your princess, so I played right into your fantasy. And then like the lyrics are like, I forgot I was a bad bitch. You know, and it does seem like this situation is, the truth behind this situation is that the universe is not going to let you stick with people and stick with situations that do not bring to the table what you're bringing, that do not balance out what you're able to give. And they are not going to let you stay in situations that are disrespectful to you or disrespectful, period. With the Two of Cups being here is that the truth is you deserve better than what you've accepted. And whatever the situation is that you're grieving, whether you acknowledge it or not, you know deep down that you did deserve better and you do deserve better. The painful part is the grief that comes from losing, something that meant a lot to you, and somebody or something that you love or loved. But the thing is that the universe is not punishing you for being involved with people like that. The universe is letting things run their course until it no longer benefits you to be in those situations, especially if you're unwilling to break ties yourself. Tower moments usually don't happen just out of nowhere. There's usually signs leading up to them that, hey, if you don't make a change is going to happen for you. And I think in this case that happened. And I would say it's very likely that you were very attached to what you felt comfortable with, even though it may have been painful. And whether someone is good for us or not doesn't necessarily dictate. Love has no logic. And I feel like one thing that they are saying is that it's okay to love someone and also acknowledge that it would not be loving to you to let them continue to treat you in a way that you don't deserve. And that sometimes love is about doing what's going to be loving to you, or all times love should be about doing what is loving to you, and hopefully in addition to others. And I think in your case, Spirit is not saying that you're meant to be single forever. Spirit is saying that you're meant to be more discerning, especially if you are someone who can love anyone. Because if you can love anyone, you are at risk for loving people that will just wring you dry and throw you out as soon as they're done. You are a giver, and that's a beautiful thing, but you need to learn to be okay with receiving. And because you're uncomfortable with receiving, you feel like relationships where you are the one giving too much is normal and is balanced, when in reality it's not. You deserve more than the bare minimum. And the reality of the situation is, I don't know what happened between you and this past person or this past situation. Whether you thought it was balanced or not, whether you think they were fair to you or not, they weren't. And the universe saw it, and the universe put a stop to it because you didn't. And that's not to shame you. That's to make you understand that the universe, especially after it's done all it can to make it clear that this situation is not serving you and it is not loving towards you and loving for you, and it's not a good situation for you. The universe is going to change it. You know why? Because you are meant to have a mutually reciprocal love, the deepest kind of love that makes you feel good about yourself. That is natural. That flows. I think all the time of that Bible quote about love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not boast. It does not brag. It simply allows and gives. All that stuff. And you really need to look at how you accept poor treatment, because that poor treatment is coming from someone that you love. That doesn't make it okay. And the universe is wanting you to know that it is not denying you the opportunity to love someone. And they are warning you against creating an ego construct around being single and making that your thing. Because avoiding connection is going to do nothing but create misery in the opposite direction. You are meant to feel connected to others, and you are meant to have loving relationships with people that see you and love you the way that, in a reciprocal way that you see them and love them. Relationships, especially the ones that ended, shouldn't have to be that hard. And if they are, it's usually a sign that you're in a relationship, you're in a one-sided relationship, or you're in a relationship with someone that is not able to meet you halfway. You deserve someone who wants to be with you as much as you want to be with them and has the capacity and the space to be able to give to you. I'm sorry, but it's not enough for you to sacrifice your own life to keep someone else warm. That's not love. That is being a martyr, and that is also an ego construct. And you're not virtuous for being a martyr. In fact, you are committing an act of violence towards yourself by being a martyr. And if you get a sense of validation from martyring yourself, you need to cut that shit out now, because it is not virtuous to martyr yourself, and it is not, and you shouldn't be applauded for it. I don't applaud that ever, because it's not good. It's an act of self-betrayal, and it is not something we should see as virtuous or good. It is a distorted, unhealthy way of operating in the world. It's one of many, but that's one that we don't talk about enough. And I feel like, you know, certain ego responses that are around people pleasing or around, you know, self-sacrifice, we often ignore those or act like they are less destructive than, you know, the more overt ego responses, like, you know, selfishness or avoidance or controlling behavior. You know what I mean? But I feel like what you need to understand is that not just anyone can love you. You need someone that's on your level and someone that knows the value of what they're holding. You need someone who will treat you with the same love and care that you treat them. And the universe is not going to let you settle for anything less, because you deserve so much more. It's like you're really mad at the universe for taking your scraps away when the universe is trying to direct you to a feast. And the thing is that in order to enjoy the feast, we have to be in energetic alignment to receive the feast. So the truth behind this situation right now is that there's a lot of learning when it comes to this next cycle. And unfortunately, some of this pain is just going to take time and surrender and acceptance in order to be released. But that day will come and it will happen. That day will take longer if you avoid those feelings, suppress them, or act like they don't exist. So I highly encourage you to flow with your feelings, give yourself space to feel them, and not judge yourself for having them. You're not an idiot for loving someone who cannot show up for you. You're not stupid for giving people second chances. You're not, however you're judging yourself for being compassionate, accepting, don't do that. Those are great qualities to have. You just need to balance those qualities with enough discerning to recognize when you're heading into the territory of self-betrayal or heading into the territory of imbalance. And I think what the universe is trying to get you to understand is that the more you know what you can provide for yourself, the more you'll know what you need others to bring to the table. You know, like, for example, you can't cuddle yourself. So if cuddling is important to you, you know, and you're in love with someone who is not a touchy-feely type person and likes their space, even though you may love them and they may love you, you may find that your needs are going unmet. And that might be a decision call where you're like, maybe this situation is not, like, maybe the most loving thing to do here is to allow both of us to find people that actually meet our needs. And I think that's one thing too, is you may feel like imbalanced relationships where you're doing all the giving and someone else is doing all the taking are actually balanced because you don't even know what needs you have within you that need nourished, that need acknowledged, that need something You know what I mean? And learning that takes time and it takes patience. And I think part of you may just be so focused and intent on getting to that moment where you know someone is the one, or you know that things are going to work out. And Spirit is saying those things don't just happen overnight. And oftentimes we don't have answers to those things immediately. And when you're meant to know something, you will. But right now, what you're meant to be doing is healing and trusting in the fact that things are going to get better. But this period of time is about you recognizing where you've been letting people take advantage of you, where you've been letting people, where you haven't been setting boundaries, where you've been allowing your boundaries to be crossed, where you have been not advocating for yourself and not being there for yourself. It's very important for you to look at that, because it can be very, very easy to not see what's right in front of our face when we want an outcome so badly. And so the more you can be neutral and prioritize your needs and prioritize balanced reciprocity and know and learn to be more comfortable with receiving, the more you will realize, like, oh yeah, wow, I deserved so much better. You know, one day you're gonna look back at this time and be like, thank God the universe stepped in. Like, thank God, you know, I'm not in that situation anymore. Like, you're not meant to stay stuck there. And what the universe is saying is that the love of your life is already out there. The love that you're looking for is out there. It's about you aligning with it and recognizing that, and not settling for something less out of fear that it doesn't exist. It does exist. And guess what? You're going to love my next reading. It's all about union. So be on the lookout for that. If you're watching this in the future, you should check that out if you haven't. But I think you should also acknowledge that the time and energy that you're pouring into other people may be much better spent on yourself. And I think that's why, another reason why the universe put the kibosh on whatever was happening between you and a person or individuals that, or situations that weren't aligning with you. And I think in your case, the universe is not going to bring the right person in until you trust and have faith in the fact that you are worthy of love and that you're not going to settle for something less. And you may find that tests come around. No matter what, you will not be robbed of what you truly want, which is balanced, true, healthy love. You will get that. The only thing that is making that not the case is the belief that you won't get it, or the fear that you won't. The belief that you're trapped. You're not. But this process is not like, you're not just going to be able to let go of what's happened overnight. It's going to take time. But time heals all wounds, I promise you. And as you move forward, as you move through the difficult emotions, the more clarity you'll have, and the easier things will feel, and the easier things will get. The more you start, and also I think you need to, and the more you move through those intense emotions, the more you'll be able to look back on situations that you couldn't see clearly before and be like, oh yeah, wow, that was really unfair to me. Or, oh yeah, they clearly weren't telling the truth there. Or like that was blatantly untrue. Like, I think that there are things you're not seeing clearly because you could have been around deceptive, manipulative people. And I think that you wanted to believe what they were saying so badly that, you know, you ignored your intuition or ignored what you felt. And maybe it really, really sucked to have, you know, those intuition, like those intuitive hits confirmed. But I feel like what Spirit is saying is that this is a powerful lesson in discernment and in trusting your intuition and in not ignoring red flags or ignoring potentially problematic behavior. And here's the thing, like, if you're someone who's like, well, why is the universe sending people for lessons? Like, why don't they just stop doing that? Like, are you serious? They're like, dude, you are not here for everything to just be super easy and work out all the time. All right? Do you know how humans are? Did you forget that you're also a human? Everything is complex. Everything is complex, not complex. Everything is complex. Everything is nuanced. And there's more to everything. It is impossible for you to know everything. It is impossible for you to be one step ahead of this process. You are meant to live your life and take that journey. You are not meant to just have everything happen to you, because you would never grow and you would never learn. And you're not here to just coast through life. As much as our ego might like that, that's not why you're here. You're here to learn and you're here to grow. And relationships are a powerful form of learning. And I think that this lesson will be powerful enough that you don't have to repeat it. The tests come in to see whether that's true or not. So be prepared and be aware of the fact that as this process of healing happens, there will be situations that test that healing to see where you truly are at. There is no failure. There is just choices. And whatever happens as a result of those choices gives you more information so that you can make an even better choice. These tests are not about punishment or failure. These tests are about seeing where you're at and how much you've actually learned. It's kind of like this situation was the pre-test. You didn't know anything and you were just going off of what you knew, doing the best you could with the knowledge you had at the time you had it. Now you've gotten some answers. Now you're getting more awareness. So now similar themes are going to be showing up in your life as you do this healing. I'm not going to say immediately, but as you do this healing. And they may not show up in the same person, but the same energies will start materializing, quite possibly in different people. It's going to be up to you to trust your intuition and be willing to be patient with that process and not try to rush to premature conclusions or try to force an outcome or force a truth when you don't have the answers because you're afraid of the answer being something that you don't want to hear. The position you're meant to be in is one where you're at peace no matter what happens, because if you are giving from your heart, another person's capacity to give is not a reflection of what you're giving. It's a reflection of where they're at. And the more you recognize that, the easier it will be for you to see where maybe you've been punishing yourself for just accepting less than you deserve and believing that you genuinely deserve less, when the reality is that you've just been settling for people who can't give you enough. And I think the more you recognize that you deserve what's truly fulfilling, you deserve what's truly going to make you happy and what is going to be sustainable and what is going to make you feel good and make you feel loved. Like, the universe is not going to take that away from you the way it would someone who is sleeping on your excellence and giving you nowhere near what you deserve. And the truth is that you're so much more than you think you are. And while it is painful having to let go of the stories we've attached ourselves to and the potential outcomes we've desired to make real, the universe is not going to let you stay stuck in that. I totally just got lost in my train of thought. It is painful to have a potential future outcome that we were attached to, or a belief that we thought would never change. It is painful for those. And our egos can get very attached to, well, I want things to be this way and I want this outcome to happen, and so on and so forth. And sometimes we can get so attached to an outcome that we don't realize that there's a much better outcome that the universe is trying to give us. And so while it's frustrating and it sucks for things not to happen the way you wanted them to happen, you're going to be really happy they didn't happen the way you wanted them to happen, because you're going to be getting something much better in return. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into guidance. So the truth here is that the universe intervened on your behalf so that you could get what you deserve, which is something much better than what you were being offered. And any beliefs you have around your desirability or your lovability, lovability, is that a word? any beliefs around you're not, those have to be put in check. And what you need to understand is that the universe is not against you finding love. The universe is not sitting there like, how can we like screw with pile 3? How about we bring someone into their life, make them think that they're the one, and then we'll make that person like run away and join the circus. It'll be so funny. Like, we'll just like watch them cry and it'll be so funny. Like, no, the universe is not like that. The universe is not malicious like that. The universe loves you more than you love you. And they want you to love you as much as they love you. And they love you so much that they will not let you stay in a situation with someone that is not going to love you the way you deserve. So what you are perceiving as the universe punishing you or taking something away, the universe is taking away what would have been a punishment. And what probably was for a long time that maybe you didn't recognize because you accepted that treatment. And I think that you may need to be honest with yourself and look at where you've been projecting your anger onto the universe when in reality you're angry with yourself for accepting that behavior. Love is blind. We all know that's true. Don't shame yourself for the human inclination to miss those things. But don't delude yourself into thinking that the universe is just punishing you and that this is all random. It's not all random. It's all designed to help you awaken to the reality of how fucking awesome you are and only accept people that are going to see how fucking awesome you are. And vice versa. If it's not, you are not you are not an ATM. You are not a body. You are not a source of validation. You're a human being who deserves to be loved for who they are. Same as every other person. Unfortunately, humanity is very wounded and we are learning a lot of lessons in love, and not everybody is going to be able to love you in the way you deserve. That does not mean that there's something wrong with you. It means that they are the wrong person to love you the way you deserve. That position should be held, or if there's multiple positions there, it should be held only for people who can love you in ways that are nourishing, uplifting, and supportive to the person that you are. Period. If it drains you, if it's abusive, if it's toxic, it can't happen. Period. Even if neither of you are inherently toxic, you could still be toxic together. That's important. Yeah. Okay, guidance time. Yeah, man, that silence hit hard. Okay. One more shuffle. Okay, so Spirit, what guidance do you have for pile 3 moving forward? We have the Hierophant. I am ready to love and learn. Yeah, this is what you are here to do. And here's the thing. If you jump into every potential relationship from, is this going to be it? You're already creating unnecessary stress. Just flow with what is and see what happens. You know, stop putting so much pressure on things, you know, and recognize that just because something doesn't work out with someone doesn't mean that it's a failure. It just means that you have learned all that you're meant to with them. And if there's something you're meant to learn with them again, they will come back around. And maybe what you're meant to learn is that you have to quit humoring them when they do come around. You know, whatever you're meant to learn, it'll be different for everyone. But Spirit is really saying, like, none of these experiences are punishments or, you know, proof that you're unlovable or proof that you'll never find love. They're just you creating false evidence for a belief that you have about yourself that isn't true. What you're doing is experiencing a very normal thing, which is human relationships not working out, because humans are complex and we grow and we evolve. And, you know, we're all like, every individual is its own universe. Human connection is a wild thing. And There's no such thing as getting it perfect. There's no such thing as the right way to do it. It just is what it is. And every choice you make gives you opportunities to love and learn. All right? So the universe is saying, if you want to throw a pity party, that's fine. But don't delude yourself into thinking that the universe is somehow punishing you or withholding something from you. They're not. When you feel powerless against the universe, that's when you want to take a step back and say, wait a minute, I'm projecting on the universe. What prisons have I created in my mind that are making me believe that I am somehow powerless or stuck here? And go from there. What else, Spirit? What other guidance do you have for pile 3, please? We have the Queen of Wands. I am naturally creative. And that's the thing. If you're meant to take action towards something, or if you're meant to find a solution, you can make that happen. I also think that what you need to know is that you can naturally attract the type of love that you're seeking. And the way you attract that love, I bet you know what the answer is. I hope I just heard an eye roll and love myself. Yes, that is the correct answer. But you know what? Actually, replace self-love with self-compassion and self-nourishment and self-respect and self-awareness. You are really wonderful, and you can attract so many wonderful things the more you acknowledge all that wonderfulness. Stop looking for the validity of your awesomeness in people that could never show you that or express that. It's like, I almost think that you may be subconsciously attracted to people who can't give you enough because your insecurities almost want to affirm that you're not enough and that you're not worthy. I think there is a part of you that's genuinely afraid of having a mutually reciprocal love. Maybe you feel more comfortable in situations where you can give because that's what you're used to. Just because that's what you're used to doesn't mean that's what you deserve. And it might be really uncomfortable and weird to receive for once, but you need to learn how to do that. Receiving is just as important as giving. That's what she said. And while it might be weird, you will get used to it, and you will find that it feels really good to be in situations that are balanced. They're less taxing, they're not so challenging, and you don't have to force things. They flow naturally. And I think what you'll find is that the more you have this confidence, the more you'll see how the universe was on your side all along, and that you are so loved and so deserving of everything that your heart desires. The Spirit, what final guidance would you like to give to pile 3, please? We have the Magician. I manifest perfectly what I desire. Yeah. So, period. Literally, this is just reiterating exactly what I said. You can create anything that your heart desires. And the fact that your heart desires it is a sign that it's meant to happen. Your heart is like the secretary for the soul. It's harder to get in touch with the soul, especially when we're interacting with the material world. Not impossible, but it can be more challenging to listen to what it wants to say, anxiety screams, intuition whispers. But the dreams that your heart has, your heart knows how to take you there. And its directions are not going to be the same as what your logical mind thinks. And your logical mind might go crazy, not knowing answers or not knowing what to do or, following the guidance of the heart without answers as to why. It might go crazy. But the more you trust it, the more you'll realize the wisdom in the heart's madness. And I think more than anything, the only things that are impossible are whatever you believe you can't have. So you really need to challenge, you need sentences like, I'll never find love, all the good people are taken, I'm fine being alone, I don't need anyone. Stuff like that, it's not true. Stop saying it as the truth. You're creating that outcome. Whether you can or you can't, you're right. And I think that you don't have faith that the universe can bring you someone that loves you as much as you love them. And why don't you actually give the universe the opportunity to do that instead of settling for less out of fear that nothing else will come along. As an attractive person, and I don't mean physically, which you could be physically attractive, that's very subjective. Attraction is an energy thing. And when you are in alignment with yourself, you're going to be naturally attractive to everything. And that's why discernment is so important, because when you attract everything, you can give to anything, and you don't want to give to something that drains you and puts you right back in this process. So believe in your power and believe in the fact that you deserve the love that you desire and the love that you've been seeking. And the more you cultivate it within, the more you will naturally attract it towards you. And the more you recognize that there's nothing wrong, inherently wrong with you. You're not flawed, and you're not meant to be miserable and lonely and single forever. And the universe is just like sitting there cackling, torturing you. The more you let go of that, the more you'll realize you're just living and learning, babe. Just same way we all do. And you're just grappling with how you perceive it and the stories that you tell yourself about it. And the more you tell yourself stories that bring you peace, stories that bring you wisdom, stories that help you stay present in the moment and release the past, like the more you will feel confident in your ability to bring what you truly desire towards you, and the easier it will be for you to discern, you know, what isn't going to support you and what is. So pile 3, that is where I'm going to leave your reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting me read for you. I really hope this resonated, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background, because it's one of the simplest and easiest ways to support me and show appreciation for my channel. If you would like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can also, shout out to my notification squad, y'all are the best. If you want to check out my candles, be sure to use code ASIN10 for 10% off. I have merch link down below, and I also have other videos and Instagram. But that's all I have for you guys, so thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!